Keep your eye on the window.
Says it's streaming live on there.
I think we're on. I'm gonna say we're on. Does it look like we're on, Dr. Laura?
Just hold on. Yes, we're
Okay.
on.
Woo! I'm going to do our introduction. I'm Dr. Heather Denniston. With me today is Dr. Laura Foster. This is our 5th Coffee with the Docs, which was an overnight, really well planned out show that we launched because we had a nice conversation and thought, let's share some of what we're talking about and what's bubbling up for you guys during the week, during the time of COVID-19. And we just kept going because you guys shouted out and said, hey, we're resonating with what you're saying. Let's keep it going. So here we are. Hi, Dr. Laura.
Well, and let's face it, frankly, this is an opportunity for you and I had to have a little head to head every Monday. So that's always something positive. I know that the Fridays and the Saturdays are like flowing into the Mondays. And for some of us, we're not sure what the distinction really is. But for me, I know on Mondays, I do my hair because I come on here. I'm pretty sure I didn't actually do my hair from Tuesday all the way to Monday.
Well, my sisters and I were talking, we had a little virtual, because that's all there is now. Oh, that's me. Hold on. We had a little virtual and we were talking about like how long we are actually waiting until we shampoo our hair. I won't share the results, but it was shocking how long each of us are formally waiting until we wash our hair, because why bother? So I love that. I'm going to bring us up as well, Dr. Laura, so that we can both be attending to the comments, because we want you guys interacting, asking questions, letting us know what, in fact, it looks like there's a couple comments there already. We got 9 people watching so far. I know there's going to be more joining us. Dr. Laura, what did you call? Did we have a title today?
We didn't, but you and I have several conversations as the week goes by so that we can start to land on some topics. And it started with just a really kind of baseline conversation about something that you had been watching that said that the 3 things on people's mind right now, is this correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah. The 3 biggest stressors, was it women or people in general?
It was women, but it's interesting because you pulsed some people saying there is stuff coming up for the male contingency as well. So go ahead, share.
Yeah. So the 3 things were overeating.
Mm-hmm.
The other one was relationship strife. Yeah. And then meaning, like what meaning do we give to what's going on, and struggling with a place for all of this to land is how I interpreted that. Is that kind of how it was for you?
Yeah, it absolutely was. And, after I'd heard that, I pulsed some of my clientele and those same themes came up. And I know you pulsed some people and some different themes came up. So we're going to be kind of jumping all over the place today, which I think is great because this is not a formal scripted thing. We just want to bring to you some of the things that you're dealing with. Some of it we'll have some ideas about, and some of it we're going to just go, yeah.
And what I love about us working together is you're very strategy oriented. So if you're looking for solutions, it's Dr. Heather. If you're looking for someone to kind of bathe in the heart side of it, it's you, but it's also me. Like that's the part where I always want to say, uncharted territory. I'm feeling I just randomly want to say this. I feel very kind of poked and prodded. I don't want to say triggered by this whole we're in it together feeling. Like I keep hearing this narrative, we're in it together. And my question is, do people really feel like we're in it together?
That's
like, kind of like,
yeah,
I sort of don't feel like we're in it together.
Yeah.
It might be happening to all of us, just like half the population is a female and, many people have kids and but just because we have similarities doesn't make it feel like we're in it together. Do you feel like we're in it together?
I have moments like there are some moments where it feels like I've never understood sort of the common human global thing as well as I do now, and understanding that my brothers and sisters in other countries and how they're suffering and we're suffering in a like way. That piece I get, but I think there's a lot of day to day where people are feeling freaking alone, really alone. And I think it needs to be acknowledged, and in some cases needs to be seriously addressed. So I know I have one particular person in my life who has a young man in her life who ended his life this week. He couldn't get access to the mental health services he wanted. And I don't know the whole story, but it just confirms for me again, like we have to be watching out for our friends and our family, and particularly those that are at home by themselves. What do you think, Laura?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know that, so I'm sorry to hear that. I sense that we're going to hear and not hear about many of these circumstances that are going on, because when we're at risk, whatever that means for each individual person, as soon as you start to compress a society or a person, that's what happens, is that the people who are at risk, who don't have the support or don't have the means or whatever, don't have what they need, things like that will happen. So that makes me terribly sad to hear that. And it's just a quick reminder for me that when you intuitively know that it feels right to reach out to somebody, I would just say, follow your intuition. Sometimes it's saying a quick hello or reaching out or offering in some way to do something for someone, whatever that is, can make the difference between feeling connected and having a reason to stay connected and not.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And I have this week noticed just random people popping up into my head. And sometimes I've followed through and sometimes I haven't. But they're coming into my head for a reason. And I think for you guys out there too, if that's happening for you, then definitely reaching out, even just with something simple, is huge. So question for you, Dr. Laura.
Yes.
What are you doing with the whole meaning thing? Because right now I feel like we are past the hyper focus of like survive and hoard and get toilet paper and figure out how to live at home and how to work from home. We're past that. And now we're like, what the hell is going on?
WTF.
WTF, what is happening? So I'm wondering, like, how are you dealing with the whole meaning of this? And, some people came to us and said, I am having trouble finding, any meaning in any of this. And I'm frustrated and frankly, angry. So can you share a little bit about your thoughts on that from this week?
For sure. I mean, it changes according to the moment, like everything else in this that we're talking about. I try and take the pressure off of coming up with the big meaning. I don't think I'm ever going to truly understand what's going on, why it's going on. I'm a curious person. I'm someone who likes to look between the words and between the sentences on a page. So I have this feeling about me going, is this really what's happening? Is the narrative that we're hearing really happening? I know that's not where you and I are going in this conversation, but I'm just saying there's that piece of me that kind of tries to look at the big picture. And I do a little bit. That's fine. I play in that field. And then for mostly, I just try not to put the pressure on myself to understand what the big picture is. What's the big meeting? What am I supposed to get? It's like the pressure to go there. And I think a lot of times we don't really get that until it's gone by. So all I can do right now is to take small sound bites and just reach for the things that feel real right now. What's the meaning in the moment that I'm in? And that's it. And not make it feel like it's the meaning or the thing that I'm supposed to be getting, but just what can I notice? What can I notice about where I'm in right now? What feels good? What doesn't feel good? I think that's really big. I can work on my own level of consciousness around that. And I'm always trying to strengthen my internal relationship with myself. I try and have more compassion for myself. I try and have a better understanding. I try and listen to my intuition more. I try and turn up the volume of my voice in a way that feels authentic. These are the things that I'm working on. Now, does that mean I'm working on relationships with other people and, things like 100%, I really am. Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is it's a perfect opportunity to strengthen this relationship, because this is the relationship we often skip over to strengthen the relationship to our careers, the relationship to our children, the relationship to the intimate people in our life, the relationship with society as a whole, all of these things that we do that make us kind of create the totality of our life. We focus a lot on those, but oftentimes that means we skip over this one. Yeah. This is the one I think we're being called to listen to right now so that we can focus in on us in a net positive way so that we can be there properly for the people in our life and the community, collective consciousness. I know it's a little airy-fairy.
No, I totally agree with you. And I think I mentioned this in one of the other episodes, but this quote keeps sticking with me right now, the Maya Angelou quote, where she talks about an African proverb that says, never trust a naked man handing you a shirt. In that if we're not taking care of this first, in this very, very stressful time, extending yourself to other people is never going to look the same as it would if it was coming from a full vessel. And so I love that you said that. And I also think what that does and what it's done for me, because frankly, I have a very hard time not being just 100% forward thinking. And so it's pulled me into where my feet are right now and made me so much more present. Because with everything that's going on, I'm very aware of the stress and the anxiety and feelings I'm having. And I'm really trying to kind of camp out there and get curious about what is that all about? What's coming up for me? What is that saying? So I love that you touched on that. I think that is great. And I think too, I gave a talk this week, and the last slide is a dark room with a door open at the far end of the hallway with light. And I close by saying, all of the many, many hundreds of daily choices that you're making right now and tomorrow and the next day are going to determine whether you emerge from that door on the other end barely surviving or thriving. And this could be 4 more weeks, 6 more weeks, 8 more weeks of what we're currently experiencing. We don't know what's going to happen. And so we need to be kind of investing on a daily basis some of the things that you're talking about. And I really like that a lot.
Yeah, I thank you for that, because you always have a great way of saying it. It's this idea also, using the time to kind of what I would say park and play. Like just when things are busy, we don't always hear what we need to hear. And when things quiet down, like for many of us it is right now, these things are rippling up and they don't feel comfortable. They might not feel, you don't know what to do with them. So what I say to a lot of my clients right now is just park the action side of things, if that's what feels right. If what's coming up for you right now is some information that you can just tell needs to be looked at but doesn't feel so good, I would say park the need to do anything with it and just play in the field of possibility. Just allow the information to come up, be a bit curious about it, ask yourself, if there's an obligation that you've had, a job that you have, a relationship that you have in your life that no longer feels aligned with who you are, that's what might be coming up for people. And I would say, instead of feeling like you have to do something massive with that, just say to yourself, look at it. If it's coming up for you to look at, just give yourself permission to park the action and play in the field of possibility, and ask yourself, if this wasn't the relationship that I was engaging in right now, what would the relationship be like?
Yeah.
If this wasn't the job that I had right now, what would the job be like? Without any need to change a thing. And all you want to do is listen, and then ask yourself, what would that feel like?
Yeah.
What would that feel like if you had the relationship that you ultimately wanted? If you had the job that you the work that you wanted to do in the world, whatever it is, right? But it's just like play in the field of possibility, because when it's time to make action, you'll make action. But if you feel the pressure to make action right away, we often don't want to look at it, because we're like, then we get into I don't know what to do with it. So just park that.
Or I'm afraid. And so I think, in coaching people in the last few weeks about, hey, look at what your schedule was, or look at what the places you were spending your energy, and now go, oh, okay, how do I want to look at that going forward? And some of that is scary. If you're like, well, if I'm going to not do that and I am going to do that's I'm uneasy. But I love that you give permission to say, no, just ask questions about it. Doesn't mean you're going to do it. Just what would that look like? Play with it a little bit. I think that's a beautiful way to do it. And it does lead us right into one of the things that has come up this week so significantly is relationship strife. So I don't think did I tell the story about yelling at Brent on a hiking trail on Easter last week? Did I tell that story?
But I feel like you need to lead this conversation. So we're going to start with you.
we don't have to camp out here for very long. This is one of those moments where as I said in the beginning, there's going to be things that we bring up and go, you guys brought this up, and yeah, I got nothing. But what I want to say is, observation is great. So Easter Sunday, Brent and I, let's do a fun family hike. So we go out for this hike, and we've been hiking a lot together, and there's an ongoing problem with the hike. And that is that he has a 34-inch inseam. I do not. And so he's way the frick ahead of me. A lot of the time I'm like, why the fuck are we hiking together? This is stupid, because he's way ahead. I'm way behind. I'm like, next time I'll bring my earbuds. So anyway, this has been an ongoing issue. You see, I'm getting all hot and bothered.
I can see.
This has been an ongoing issue. And so I thought, Easter Sunday, we're going to walk side by side. We're going to stroll. And sure enough, he's a quarter of a mile ahead. So then I lose my marbles. I don't know what happened, but I'm stomping down the hill and I'm yelling at him, and there's other people around, and he's like, why didn't you just say slow down or what? And I'm like, I don't know how many times I have to say that, and blah, 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 blah. And he just let me unload. And he's just standing there. And I was saying to him yesterday, I'm like, the fact you did not escalate to match my energy is what solved the whole thing. He just let me run out like a balloon. And and so then we're walking in silence for a little bit, and I'm like, sorry, I yelled at you. Like, it's okay. And, and we worked it out. Why I bring this up is, I consider Brent and I have a very lovely relationship. We have high communication skills. And yet I found myself very reactive in an unusual way. I took it out on him in a not fair way because I'd not communicated well what the issue was. And so I say all that just that, yeah, I bet relationships are struggling right now in some cases, and that things feel tense, and how loud they're chewing bothers you. And
blinking.
And blinking. Like, do you have to blink so loud? And so I can only speak for myself. You can only speak for yourself. But do you have anything that you and Paul are doing to just kind of like bring it down a notch now that we've all been living under one roof for 6 weeks with like no break, from each other and stuff? Is there anything that you're working on, and anything that you have as far as like, these are some tools? And if not, that's okay.
Well, I mean, we're like all of 4.5 years into our relationship, so I'm not sure that garners, but let's just say we've never been in quarantine together. So I have learned a few things about myself. Clearly, he has more patience than I do. And what I love is he's not a pusher. He'll let me do what you did, but I try and keep myself in check. We check in, I wouldn't say every day, but almost every day. We have a moment where we're just like, how are you doing? And we came to that because we weren't doing that. and what we realized is that, his blinking was bothering me, and I'm sure many things I was doing. So we're all smart enough to know that when you lose your SH over those small things, it's not about really the small things. There's always something beneath that. Whenever you find anger rising within us, it's always great to just kind of ask yourself, what is it that you were looking for? I mean, the fact that he was walking ahead of you wasn't probably the issue.
Right.
It was probably, what was it?
Honestly, I've never admitted this. I'm literally admitting this for the first time. It makes me...
Hold on.
Seriously.
Go ahead.
And I will articulate this to him at some point. I don't want to say it's my competitive nature, although it may distill out to that, but it makes me feel left behind. It makes me feel weak. It's not even so much that we're not walking side by side and talking. It's that I'm behind, and I'm well behind. And I feel like we're not connecting and stuff. So I think there's a bit of just my own like ego is in there. And just kind of going, wait, why is he so far ahead? And then there's another part that's like, we're supposed to be doing this together. So maybe I was hoping for some more like conversation and stuff like that. I think it's a bit convoluted, but I love that you say that. And I'm finding myself inserting that step more and more with the emotions that are happening right now for me, and probably for a lot of you, of going, ooh, what is that? Like, I just snapped at my kids, or I just, I'm feeling extra tired, or I feel like I don't want to talk to anybody today, or what it's like, just getting curious about some of those feelings.
Especially if it's coming up over and over and over again. Usually there's a boundary that needs to be set, or you're you're not giving something to yourself that you need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it could be various things. Not all of us are in super safe environments, things like that.
Absolutely.
But, things get amplified. So,
Yeah.
it's kind of like having a baby to solve a relationship issue.
Yeah.
Not the best thing. Generally doesn't.
Yeah, if you take anything away from today, that is a really good thing to consider.
I think I'm outside my field of expertise right now. Hold on. Let me see. Slurping spaghetti. God. Mary Laren told us that she's finding that slurping spaghetti is really getting to her. I'm assuming she doesn't mean her slurping.
Right. Somebody else slurping spaghetti. Don't serve spaghetti.
I think the take home too is just to have extra compassion for yourself and just extra compassion for your relationship even. Mm-hmm. I don't mean blur the lines between what's okay and what's not okay. Mm-hmm. But in those little things that are kind of like that grind on you, just recognize that you've not been here before. I've not been here before. Mm-hmm. So even in a circumstance like this where, I feel afraid more than I think I realize. I try and act all like, I did my hair and I have my makeup on and I try and pretend like I generally have my rudder well seated beneath me. That isn't how I'm feeling all the time right now. Mm-hmm. And this is something that I constantly work on is my communication and I just try and be curious and conscious to what's going on. So I'm surprised at how much I feel off. Mm-hmm. And that's okay.
Yeah, it is okay. And I think that makes me think too, some behaviors that may be annoying you may be coming from that person's insides feeling off, and to just extend some grace and nice. Yeah. My husband won't mind that I say I sort of seriously joke. Sometimes he's a bit OCD, and I remember once when he went from working full-time to sabbatical, it was an adjustment period for him. And I kept saying, how you doing? How you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm good. And then I came home and he had cleaned the kitchen floor for the 5th time that day. And so I'm like, oh, I think maybe there's some stuff percolating up for you. Maybe we try to talk about that, and helping, in this current stage is working together in a relationship to help each other access how you're feeling, I think is helpful too. Sometimes it takes somebody going, asking you some good questions to help bring it out, how you are actually feeling, because sometimes it's hard to identify. So that was,
yes. And I think that's where checking in for a couple of minutes, sometimes it opens that up. So I'm definitely not going in this direction. So one of the things that I want to ask you about is about the overeating issue. So here's where I don't want it to go. And you know this already. I'm not big on judgment, like judging ourselves and judging others. So for those people in the poll who felt like overeating was an issue right now, I would just say, I don't know that right now is the time that we need to be hard on ourselves. We don't ever need to be hard on ourselves. So, we're not bringing this up because we're here to tell people to count their calories and things like that. However, if you're not feeling the way you like to feel and you want some strategies, this is something you talk about a lot, not a lot, but you broach this topic in your Change Cave group, right? And this comes up in your coaching and you're doing your health coaching. So what do you have for me? What can you say around that?
Well, we don't need to spend a lot of time here, only because it is such an individual thing, and it is a very big subject for many people. And when presented with this level of stressor, can trigger a lot of behaviors that are self-medicating, self-soothing. And so when talking to people, first of all, I say exactly what you just said, which is we start with self-compassion. So we start by just hugging and saying, it's okay. I know this is really hard, to yourself right now. And also extending some grace and saying, okay, this is a blip in time as far as this particular, quarantine. We will get out of it. And just extend yourself some grace. Like it's okay that you're not eating perfectly. And we want to focus on how do you want to feel when we're all through this and you're, starting to walk back into whatever this new normal is going to look like. How do you want to feel going into that? Do you want to come out with some energy and not feel like, your body is burdened down because you overate throughout that whole time? And so I think there definitely are some great strategies, but I think the first is starting with self-compassion. The second is extending yourself some grace, and then focusing on how do you want to feel? What kind of energy do you want to have through this? Of course, to say nothing about the fact that what we stick in our mouth is going to be directly related to how immunosuppressed or thriving we are. And so to start to de-emotionalize it, look at food as fuel right now and kind of go, okay, I'm in this very stressful situation, which is immunocompromising anyway. How can I feed my body in such a way that is going to create as much health as possible, and coming at it from that direction? Anything more than that, as far as, I've definitely got kind of the 5 snack rule at night. So meaning anything after 6 o'clock, I've got a list of 5 things that I say, yeah, these are your go-tos. Anything over here is not. So seaweed, tea, vegetables, things like that you can go, oh, I still have choice. I've got choices. We get mad if we don't have a choice, if you say nothing. And so you still have choice, but you pick from a really nice, healthy group of 5 things, because it's, when our willpower is down and our brain battery is depleted is when we get very susceptible. And that's usually at night. So that's usually where I start, is what's happening at night. And we start focusing on, okay, so then you create a list as to what your go-to items are that are permissible for you. And then you have some choices, and you can still feel some flexibility in that. So
I love that. I just want to say I love that, because it takes the guess out of it, but it gives you choice.
Yeah.
And then you don't feel like you're saying no to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. Like, on one hand, you want to have that compassion, and not a but.
Yeah.
And you also want to say to yourself, but at the same time, I'm fueling myself from my own success right now, or my own demise. Because if you eat crap, you feel like crap.
Yes.
And when you feel like crap, it ripples out into relationships and all these different things. Now, that's your evening strategy. What I say to myself on the morning side is, don't eat until you're hungry.
Yes.
It's just that. And
Good.
some days that's 8 o'clock in the morning, and other days that's noon.
Yeah.
Listen, it's okay to miss a meal.
Yeah, it is.
It's good for you.
We are not going to perish.
And listen, I did a 5-day water fast, and I want to tell you, clearly I overeat because I actually wasn't hungry. I was shocked. Now, I'm not trying to say that, but the point is that fasting is great for you.
Yes.
And it helps you reset from the perspective of, if you're, if all you do is wait until you're hungry before you eat, then you at least get back in touch with the signals of your body. And that's always a good thing as well.
And I think that's for me, it was failure in regard to eating, until I got in touch with what you just said, is listening to what my body's asking for, giving it that food instead of like trying to feed my emotions. And that really helped. And baby steps. If you're starting to think, oh, this is a great opportunity for me to make some changes in my nutrition, good for you. There's lots of opportunity to do that right now, but just one little step at a time. Don't try to kind of throw the whole thing out and start, we're too stressed, we're too depleted to do that. I think it's,
I think that's
one little
great.
thing at a time.
Did you say that all you wanted to say about meaning?
Yes.
I don't think I really asked you, but did you get what you wanted to say out about that? Because
I did, because we touched on that a little bit last time. And that was just my big takeaway, which was pretty much what you said, which is we're not going to see meaning from this for a while. At least I don't anticipate it. Some of you maybe, but we can mine meaningful moments and look for things that we can go, oh, that was a good little chunk there, that 15 minutes. And I'm going to just focus in on that. And that was meaningful to me. And that'll help, I think of running across the river by jumping from stone to stone to stone. And that allows you to link that all together. So that's all I had. There was one cool thing that came up with Dr. Amen this week that I want to mention. I just want to see, strategic, just a shout out to Reed Cooter, who is a physical therapist here, who was working with somebody, mine who they were talking about, and this may be a bit of an issue for some of you. She explained what was happening, and he said, oh yeah, you're doing strategic distraction work, where going back to the beginning of the call, maybe feelings are bubbling up for you right now. And if you are spring cleaning the house like crazy to avoid actually thinking about things, it's just hey, just be aware. What do you think about that, Laura? The whole concept
for sure.
of
I mean, if you are like genuinely, and I mean genuinely, this is where having consciousness about yourself is good. If you are genuinely like, it's okay to go clean something. It doesn't mean you're burying your head in the sand. But if that's all you're doing, you know, if you're doing it because you're uncomfortable, just be aware, and so that you can give yourself a few moments here and there, especially if you're not used to it. Just dip your toe in that place of, what does this mean for me?
Yeah.
And, you know, it'll emerge as it needs to emerge.
I love that.
Let me see.
I've got, we'll end with Dr. Oh, yeah. We talked a little bit, lots of fear came up this week from people, just lots of, they're tired and there's fear. And I agree. I think you do too. Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, fear is definitely coming up.
Oh, I've got a couple things around the anger, because that was something that somebody says, like, what do I do with it? Because I'm angry. I'm angry, but also I don't want to be locked up. I want to go to a restaurant. I want to hang out with my friends. I want to go back to work. You know, that these are things that are come up for people. So do you have any like anger? Like, one of the things that I like to do is go out where nobody is and scream my lungs out. And it is insane what a physiologic response you can have to that makes you feel so much better. Do you have little tools like to release that anger? Is there anything that you like to do?
You're so much better at this. So this is where you have two people who love each other dearly. And this person over here, which I'm not going to point because on the screen, who knows what you're looking at, but this person is like, you do like little videos where you're like jumping around and you're acting silly. I try never to act silly. Like, I'm an idiot, but I'm like Nia. I'm just giving you an example. The movement-based, I'll call it exercise. You know, Nia?
I do. Okay. Oh gosh, that would be hard for me.
Okay. So what I can't do is yell. Like, I can't go. What you just did there, like me going outside and yelling, like I'd feel like I'd go, you know, like it wouldn't be anything. But if you asked me to yell F-U-C-K at the top of my lungs, I got that in me. But I don't feel like that may have been inappropriate, but so be it. It's sometimes inappropriate. Here's the thing with that though. There's only certain ways I can express that. So I don't know, like for me, when I find myself angry, I know right away that it's not about the anger. And so I try and do things like sweat it out.
Yeah.
I try and sweat it out.
Yeah.
Now, I know this is big with you, and I could feel this in my partner. My partner's name's Paul. He was agitated yesterday, and he's an introvert, and he's got great, like, he's just wired a bit differently than me. So when you see agitation in him, it's real.
Yeah. It's come from a very deep, like it's percolated up. It took a long time to surface.
Yes. Mine's like regularly rolling off me. His is like when you see it with him, you're like, oh boy, what's going on? And then I just saw him, he picked up the skipping rope, he went in the backyard and he sweated out for, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes. I know you do this. Yes. But this is why I exercise. This is why I do yoga. It doesn't matter what the metrics look like. I do it because it helps me get the anger vibes, the frustration vibes, this fear, the sadness. It helps me get that stuff out of the cell level of my body.
Yes, so good. And all of those are all right beside each other. So that's why I think exercise is so amazing, is because it's just this blanket sort of effect on fear and anger and agitation and anxious. Like all of those are so parallel to each other, I think. So that's an awesome one. The jump rope. Yes. Love it. I don't know if I told you this, Laura, but I started a Facebook group called Jump Rope for Women a while ago. And it is interesting to see there, it was maybe 15, 20 people in there. And we just occasionally post workouts and stuff like that. It's like 100 and something, just almost like that. And I'll tell you, quarantine is stimulating people to pull out a jump rope and get going on it. And it is such a great one, great choice to do. So I do encourage that for you guys too, is to think about, the jump rope is one of the best things that you can do. And even if you've never done it since you were a little kid or never done it at all, it is a learnable skill. So shout out for jump rope.
Can you actually post that later? Because
Sure.
I will say that you taught me to jump rope. Honestly, my whole family, the 3 boys, literally started laughing their butt off at me because I went to jump rope. I thought I knew how to jump rope. I would jump rope and I was like, and I tried to like jump consecutively and my head was going, it was like the weirdest thing. And I thought, how do I not know how to jump rope? It was crazy. And so I see you and you have practiced this. It is so inspiring to see you jump rope.
Aww.
Like, I know this is not something you like to do, but can you toot your own horn and post something of you jumping? Because it is incredible. And I know you put the time into it. So it's not like you just jumped out of the womb like that. But I'm just saying, you have, but it is a learnable thing. And you taught me, I watched your videos because you had a learn to jump program and you taught me. And I literally would do like 5 jumps at a time. And I had to anyways.
Awesome. That's so great. Yeah, I will post it. It is a passion for me because it hits so many check boxes, including joy and play and fun and all of those. Plus it's, it's bone density, it's flexibility, it's agility, it's strengthening, it's cardio, it's all of it. It's so efficient. So I love it. I will post that. Dr. Amen was somebody I had watched this week on the Rise Up Challenge, which is still, I'll post the link. I keep forgetting to post the link, but the Rise Up Challenge is in its last week, but it is still available to register. They still have some great speakers coming up. Dr. Amen was on this week, and I took 2 nuggets that I wanted to share with you guys today. And he is a psychologist, and it's all about stress and kind of bringing joy into your life again. And he gave 2 ridiculously simple tips, but I thought about them a lot after. So I thought I would share them with you guys, if that's okay. Yeah. So the first was getting out of bed. If you've ever bought, like when I bought my first brand new car, a 2006 Murano gray, everywhere I was driving, gray Muranos everywhere. But before I bought the car, I never saw a gray Murano. Have you ever had that experience where you totally. Right? Okay. So he talks about when you get out of bed in the morning, you just say, this is going to be a great day. And then your brain says, I'm going mining for great moments in my day. And you start seeing gray Muranos through your whole day. And so I love that very simple tool, especially right now, we need simple, practical tools, is put your feet on the floor and just make a commitment. This is going to be a great day. And then work through your day to look for those opportunities. And then like the morning in the evening, he talked about lying down and looking for chunks of joy in your day, because he said, biochemically, physiologically, if you're focusing on the joy moments of your day, it actually chemically changes what's happening in your brain, and you dream differently, you sleep differently. So those were 2 little practical tools I wanted to share today. And that's all I got. What do you got?
I got one thing. So if you don't meditate, it's overwhelming for people. So if you want to end your day on a positive note, I would check out the Oprah and Deepak Chopra guided meditations. They are simple. I know people will go, really, Oprah and Deepak? Trust me, they're kind of worth it. They're about 15 minutes, and you can go online and purchase their old ones, or if they've got a challenge going right now, they're not super expensive. They might even be free, some of them, I'm not sure. But the point being is that there's an app, you can download them. They're 15 minutes, earbuds in, that's how I do it. And there's some on love and abundance and whatever. Nice. They're all kind of different themed. And I feel like they're great. Like they're just a small little thing, but they leave you with a positive heart set and mindset before you close your eyes for the night. So if you're
I love
looking
it.
for a little something, there's others. I know there's the Calm app and things like that. But I feel like it's very accessible. I think that the things that they talk about are just really gentle and easy to take in, and they're not going to probably bump up against any of your philosophies or things like that. So they're a nice way.
I love that. That's so great. Thank you. I know my sister has done one of their 21-day deals and loves it, loves it,
Good.
loves it, loves it.
Yeah.
So that's great. Well, I think we're done for today. I think it's a wrap. It's a wrap. That's all I got. So guys, these shows will become richer and richer the more that you reach out to either Dr. Laura or myself. The best place to find both of us is on Instagram. You can IG message us. She is Soul Inspired Girl. I am Well Fit and Fed. Come and find us. Just post a quick question, a thought, a feeling, something that's coming up for you, because we want to bring that here and talk about it with you guys and connect with you every Monday at 11:30 PST, 2:30 EST. I think that is that, are we good? Are we done?
I think we're done. I know I'm tired of listening to me. I could talk to you for a while.
Well, we love you guys, and we will see you again next week. Please share this with your friends and family. If you have found it inspiring or useful in any way, we would love to share with them too. So we'll see you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.